live. It's good to see everybody back in the building. I hope everybody has had a magnificent Tuesday. It's today Tuesday. I hope it's been a magnificent Tuesday for you. It has been for me in the great state of Texas. I just got done trying to pop a pimple, right? So I'm getting ready to go live. I know I'm getting ready to go live, and I see this pimple. Let me turn my mic down a little bit because I'm definitely clipping. Sorry about that. I was definitely clipping. I'm sorry. Anyways, I saw this pimple, and I was like, dang it, if I pop it, it's going to look obviously worse. But in your mind, you're like, you have to pop it because it looks bad. And then, of course, now it looks worse. So forgive me. My face looks a little jacked up. It's a little swollen on the pimple side, but it's good to see all of y'all tonight. We got a really interesting live stream tonight. We're going to cover a little bit of news topics. We're going to do a little bit of the updates and things of that nature. I want to thank everybody for joining us, being a member, sticking with me. I was going to do a members upload only today, but it's taking so long to edit this video. Y'all have no idea. It's taking so long. So forgive me. It's coming. It's on the way. It's about hypergamy. It's going to be really awesome because it proves it's going to be awesome. So y'all are really going to enjoy it. For the members only, I do appreciate y'all being members. I hope you've had a wonderful day today, whether you've been at work, chilling at home. Let's go ahead and get into it. We have our national days of the day today, so I'm going to make sure we get to that really quickly. Of course, we can't miss that. It always gets us started on the proper mood. I feel like I'm ready to go. I feel really refreshed. I feel invigorated, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to be with y'all. Today is Eat a Cranberry Day. Also, it's a Fibonacci Day, right? As known as Leonardo of Pisa. He is some kind of scientific genius, I assume, mathematical genius. National Cashew Day, as well as National Espresso Day. So only 4 days today, only 4 holidays today. Wow, usually it's like 7 or 8. So there you go. Get it in while you can, ladies and gentlemen, on any of those holidays that might apply to you in your own life. All right. We had some news articles, but I don't want to cover the news articles as much. This isn't going to be as long as a live stream, to be honest with you. I'm intending this on being a little bit shorter because I want to start having more content coming out. And so in order to put more content out, I'll go a little bit shorter with some of the live streams. We'll still have like the 4 and 5 hour panels every so often, right? But for the most part, we're going to kind of just keep it a little bit shorter so we can get some more content out there, some more variety and things of that nature, right? So we're talking about a rapper today by the name of Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs is he came from a really rough area, but his story is unique and it's interesting. And obviously, if I'm talking about it, there's a reason I'm talking about it, right? But before we get to that, I just want to bring one more announcement and one more piece as far as the young Dolph issue, as far as the young Dolph controversy of the young Dolph tragedy in a lot of ways, right? There's been over 10 murders, and I've actually heard more than this reported since the death of young Dolph. Over 10 murders. I've heard it's closer to 14 is the number I heard, but then there are people in Memphis saying it's like 30 or 40 people. Like, it's a little war zone over there in Memphis right now. So if you have family, if you know somebody that's closer around the area, obviously they have curfews, they have things of that nature. It's probably not the best time to be around Memphis. So take care of yourself if you are out there, ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely serious right now. A lot of people are getting implicated that are innocent as well. And we've been seeing that. And that's the sad thing. But once again, that's the power of the internet. You can use it for good. You can use it for bad. It all just depends, right? So we're talking about Freddie Gibbs today. And I'm gonna go ahead and play this video. There's 2 different parts of this video, and I'm gonna play the first part, and then we'll kind of get to the actual main crux of this live stream, which is him saying or admitting that he would rather live in a white neighborhood. And when we really analyze everything, we're gonna break it down from a lot of different perspectives on a lot of the different topics that we talk about, right? And once again, I want to thank you for joining us. You're really gonna enjoy this. You're really going to enjoy this. Who is Freddie Gibbs? Just to give you an idea of who Freddie Gibbs is, he's a rapper from Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana is known as a very, very, very severely stricken poverty area. As a matter of fact, I think they were rated like number 1 or 2 as far as crimes and homicides go in the nation consecutively for a few years, right? So that's quite an achievement, a negative achievement to have, right? Now, this is him right here. And so he was raised in a pretty bad environment. But before we get to the environment that he was raised in, I just want to play a little bit of this video. After we play this video, then we'll go ahead and get to the environment, and we'll talk about the rest of this, all right? So the name of this video is I Ain't No Regular Nigga. Reveals he would rather live in a white neighborhood, all right? Here we go.
Ghetto boys, ghetto boys, ghetto boys, ghetto boys. You grew up in a household with an aspiring doctor. Your brother is a doctor.
Yeah,
right?
My brother's a doctor.
How does that work, man? How does it work when your brother becomes a doctor and you become a rapper? What is your parents saying to you? You going after this dream and he's going after something that's closer to
Well,
reality.
you know what, man? I wasn't always a rapper. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like my brother, go, like, we came outside. You know how Gary is. Like, we had to watch our head. You know, so like, you know,
So I just want to kind of stop just for 1 second here, right? Forgive me for stopping so soon, but it's an interesting fact about this entire situation, about the story. But he is a rapper and his brother is a doctor. And he's going to mention in a second that his sister's like a scientist for the FDA or something like that, right? So just wild occupations going on right in the family. But he was a street guy, right? So I'll explain why we're talking about that. But just take note of that as we continue going forward on this, all right? Doctor, you know, scientist and successful rapper, if we're being honest with you, right? He's a successful rapper, so we gotta definitely acknowledge that greatness and credit where it's due.
I had to go out, I had to crawl so my brother could walk. I tell people that all the time, you know what I'm saying? Like I had to do shit so he ain't have to worry about shit. I had to take the lumps.
So he's your younger brother?
Yes, sir. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest in the household, you know what I'm saying? But like the thing is, my mom's brothers was only like 15 and 14 and 11 and 8 and shit like that when I was born. So them niggas wasn't really like my uncles. I was like the younger brother to them. So I had to be schooled to a lot of shit way before my brother and my sister had to. So like I said, I took a lot of lumps before they even had to like see anything. So like I said, I crawled so they could walk, so they didn't have to worry about shit. My sister, and we talk a lot, motherfuckers always talk about my brother being a doctor, but my sister is like a scientist for the FDA too. So let's not leave that out. Yeah, man. So.
All right, so let's pause that right there, right? So his mother had a lot of brothers and sisters who are very young, who also grew up in the house with him. It's a story that's eerily similar to my own father's story, right? And grew up with a lot of his aunts and uncles, but they weren't aunts and uncles because they were so close in age. And so they ended up just being more siblings as far as the relationship went, right? It's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. So give me 1 second. I'm reading the comments. Who is he again? He's a rapper. He's a rapper. So just give me 1 second. I know. Just hear me out. I'm bringing rap into it or bringing him into it because it's very interesting, right? So I know everyone's like, God, why are you playing this shit? Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Jeez. Now let's get to Gary, Indiana. Okay. First thing I want you to kind of take in from this. Make sure that you take note that his sister is a scientist or a chemist. Forgive me, BB Precious Case. Okay, whatever she is, y'all know what she is. She works at FDA. She's doing something great. All right, and his brother's a doctor. Okay, this is Gary, Indiana. This is crazy, man. This is Gary, Indiana. Okay. So I want to make sure, you know, and this is why we kind of do these stories, and this is why I do this story here, because once again, we're going to make sure that we have a balanced conversation and a balanced narrative going forward. This is the city that that this rapper is from right here. Now you see these cars. People do live in these environments, right? People do live in these environments all over the nation, right? So this is where he comes from. This city has birthed successful people, though. Obviously, his brother, his sister, right? Raised in a very poverty-stricken environment, home, multiple people inside the house, you know, up to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, as Freddie Gibbs said, right? Always in the house, right? There's always something going on. There's never really just simplicity or peace. There's always something going on when you have that many people inside of a house, because it's poverty. That's the nature of poverty. This is what poverty is, right? So it's tough because, once again, we have to make sure that we understand why people are starting to become the way they are, why people are the way they are, how they become the way they are. But in this situation, it's interesting because you have such a polarizing difference between Freddie and things of that nature. But I just want to once again pause here. I'm going to pause here and show you where Gary, Indiana is, where this man Freddie Gibbs comes from. Now let's go back to his interview. Let's go back to his video and listen to a little bit more. All right. Listen to a little bit more. He got a lot of flack for this.
So, you know, they you know, they the two most things that I'm proud of, other than my kids, my brother and my sister. I'm more proud of them than anything.
So were you raised in a 2-parent household?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's
I was probably raised in a motherfucking 15-parent household. Like shit, you gotta understand this. A village raised a child in my household. It's probably like 12. Sometimes it'd be 12 niggas in the house. Sometimes it'd be 6 niggas in the house. Sometimes it'd be 4 niggas in the house. You got aunties, uncles, grandmas. We black. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm about to get to. Now, what they niggas or what they black people?
We niggas.
Niggas.
It's a difference. We nigger it.
Yeah,
we niggas.
All right, so I'm gonna pause it right here. So we're having an interesting conversation now, right? are we niggas or are we black people? Right. We say this all the time on this channel: is the savables and the unsavables. Right. This goes with every, and this can be applied to every part of culture, I guess you can say. But in our community, in this area of YouTube, it's the savables and the unsavables. It's those who there are no hope for, who are so solidified in degeneracy that they can't come back. This can be male or female. And then those who are in a bad place, but they're trying to get to a better place. And this is where we're going to start to have some of these conversations here in a little bit on this channel, right? And so this is what this guy asks him: what kind of black people were these people, right? What kind of black people were these people? And so even naturally inside of hip hop, inside of what is the center of black culture, what is the basis of black culture, the biggest industry as far as movers and shakers and monetary exchange goes between cultures in black America, there's a known stigma that within black environments, as bad as it might be, you have the possibility to either be predominantly around a certain type of black people, or you might be lucky enough to be around, you know, the well-to-do, the normal black people, not the niggas or the ER version, right? So they joke about this, right? So just keep this in mind. I just had to say this. I'm going to go back to the video. All right.
But
you know what?
Listen, but is a nigger like really,
let me just say this, man, to clear the air.
Yeah, clear the air.
I'm not a nigga. I'm niggerish.
I'm the most niggerish nigga of all time. That's how
niggerish.
I feel.
You know how? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm niggerish, Willie. I'm niggerish. I'm not a nigga, but I'm niggerish. And so the ish saves me from being a nigga. I'm just niggerish.
It saves us from being a nigga.
Yeah.
And I know our people. I know us. Yes. I know how to deal with
I can
us.
identify with, I'm niggerish, but I can identify with niggas.
I can identify with family, and I can identify with a motherfucker that I can see as maybe a potential threat.
So let's stop it right here. So he's saying, okay, yeah, definitely we have to, I can identify with my people. I recognize family. I recognize this. I recognize that. And, it's good. It's good. I just can tell when I'm dealing with with somebody that's not going to be a homie. And then I can tell when I'm dealing with a homie. Right. But this is going to contradict very deeply what he's saying, which if this was the case, then why wouldn't you want to live amongst people who share your, communal values, amongst people who share your perspectives, your culture and things of that nature? It would make no sense for you to say, well, I prefer to live amongst white people. But we're going to get into that in a second. Just keep tabs, right? Keep tabs. This is a very interesting conversation that's happening amongst a rapper, right? Amongst a rapper, somebody that is essentially, if we're going to apply this N-word derogatorily term to, it'd be, so I'm not saying that, and forgive me, I'm not trying to say that, but as far as what other races stereotypically think of when they think of the N-word, they would think of some version of a rapper, unfortunately, as bad as that might be. This is just the truth, right? Some of the races of people are just like this, right? So it's very interesting that even amongst the element that some people would naturally take or assume to be a degenerative type of culture or being or person because of the type of activity or a career that they have in being music and things of that nature, rap. It's fascinating to have this conversation even amongst themselves, that they separate themselves from the very element of what essentially has made a lot of the crises that we've talked about this week, right? Essentially what has made a lot of the violence that we talk about all the time on this channel. It's very interesting that even amongst the rappers are conscious enough to try and separate themselves from degenerates and say, hey, listen, I'm a rapper, I'm in the streets, I'm all this and that, but I'm not a part of those guys who are arriving in the streets and all this and that. Very interesting, right? Very interesting dynamic. Let's continue though.
I'm down here right now looking at property. I'm like, all right, I'm about to buy me a house in Texas. And I was like, all right, you know what? I think I'm gonna get that motherfucker in Austin. Mm-hmm. And that, not to say nothing, I love Houston. I love being here all the time.
Austin, the motherfucker.
It is, but it ain't as many niggas that I got to deal with. I don't got to look around as much when I'm in Austin.
Yeah.
Not as much, nigga. When I'm in Houston, I'll be like,
now wait a minute.
I'm just telling the truth.
And you're looking around for niggas.
I am.
To hurt you, that could possibly bring harm to you.
Correct. And ain't nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Jesus. All right, hold on a second. Okay. Let's just kind of so this is what we talk about a lot, right? This is what we talk about a lot. And for whatever reason, a lot of the opposition, and this is something that the divestors talk about all the time, right? They talk about these types of situations happening. We talked about a lot of black men not even liking black men. I've given my examples of interactions that I have with guys on the streets. As I pass them by, I'll say hi to them, nod my head to them, and a lot of the time there's just no response back. It just is what it is, right? There's sometimes a natural hostility between me and black brothers, me and black bros, me and the homies. Sometimes there's just a natural hostility. That is the way it is. And when you start looking at environments that we just looked at, the Gary, Indiana, it makes sense, right? some of those places look like a war zone. So I understand that, but it's still very interesting that even after he said, you know, all of this, that he wouldn't naturally look for a tribe of those people that are able to separate themselves from the degeneracy, right? That are able to separate themselves from the evil black culture that he doesn't want to be associated with as a rapper, right? He's not that type of guy, but rather he would just move to the white areas because he doesn't have to watch, you know, his back that much anymore. Now, this is interesting because this is a guy that comes from the streets, right? This is a guy that comes from poverty, and he made it out of poverty, as did his siblings and things of that nature. Kudos to the parents, the mother, or whoever it might have been. But when he gets money, he understands that he can't go back. This is something that a lot of people are faulting young Dolph for, and this is a struggle. This is a very challenging topic, and this is why I'm making this live stream. Between the savables and the unsavables, the niggas, and then the N-word with the ER at the end, as they're joking about going back and forth. It's a very tough line and a very tough road to kind of budget on. We talked about the girl that was murdered inside of her own shop, Destiny Harrison, who was the salon owner, who was shot and killed inside of her own shop. We've talked about, obviously, young Dolph, who is giving back. We've talked about Nipsey Hussle. We've talked about becoming a target once you do get to a certain level of establishment and financial currency and owning inside of the black community. This is partially due to a few different things. One is a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset is when you're in an environment that does not have enough resources to lend over to the entire crowd. Whenever there's scarcity, you're going to have a higher demand. Whenever there's a higher demand, people are going to be willing to do a few things, either pay more, but if they don't have more to pay, they're going to be willing to sacrifice more or risk more. Higher risk, higher reward. This is where you have different crime elements of things that happening, which are directly derived from, you know, lower poverty and things of that nature. Once again, this is why we talk about education and why going to school or getting a job, learning a trade is so vital to correcting the entire community. It's all connected. But going back to the original, context of this, right? And sorry, forgive me 1 second, y'all. I can't really look at the comments. I know IK said where we're going with this. Just wait a second. Just wait a second. All right. Just wait a second. I can't read y'all's comments. It definitely is a Wild West. And so what ends up happening is, hold on, let me delete this. Hold on a second, guys. One second. I'm sorry, y'all. For our audio listeners, just give me 1 second. I'm just looking some. All right. So, anyways, going back to it. So the entire Young Dolph situation, yada yada yada. He goes back to the hood and he gets killed. Destiny Harrison builds a business. If you build a business in a hood, you build a business in an environment that doesn't have that many resources, then it can lend itself over to, obviously, right, bad situations. Right, we've seen that. Nipsey Hussle, yada yada yada. And so what he's saying is something that a lot of people do, which is essentially divesting, right? Another reason I want to bring this video up, divesting is essentially what he's talking about, leaving the hood, leaving the black community. He's saying divesting, right? A lot of guys don't understand, and a lot of people kind of miss this concept because I think we've termed and coined divesting to just men and women as far as the relationship goes between black men and women, or black women leaving black men for other races of men, right? But in this phrase, or in this way as well, divesting has been something that I think a lot of black people that are starting to raise to prominence, that are starting to get a good amount of money, end up doing, right? They end up leaving the hoods, and we joke about this. We've talked about this on the chat, right? Once you get money, you're going to end up leaving and going and moving to the white neighborhoods. And he says the same thing here. So very interesting perspective, and a very interesting, I guess you could say just problem, if you will, right? Leave and don't build up the community. Other generations could potentially suffer in the future. Enough people have this collective train of thought to where there's just not people that are willing to go back to the hood and leave, but they'd rather pack up and go stay in a nicer area. I understand that. Or B, risk going back, risk trauma, risk injury to yourself, to your family, whatever it might be, because you have more resources, because you're in an environment that is potentially more volatile due to the lack of resources, right? Which one do you choose exactly, right? Which one do you choose? Which one do you choose? I think the idea and the concept that everybody preaches about is building up the downtrodden areas, building up and helping the people who are at the bottom to understand that we all need each other, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. But I think inherently inside of all Black people, inside of all of us, inside of our community, there's an underlying truth and an underlying train and notion of thought, which is that once you are able to get to a certain place in life, you have to make sure that you aren't around a certain element. And that element, for whatever reason or another, does tend to happen a good amount more in our community than other communities. And we understand that. We talk about this all the time. But it also begs the question, once again, is whether or not we're going to ever be able to even correct or start to fix or curve that problem or solution to begin with, which is, once again, the question of the savables and the unsavables, right? The savables and the unsavables. Be careful here. I think it's difficult and it's tough when we start having these conversations, because essentially what both sides of people want are the same thing. And this is why it's so complicated and so confusing. You have Black men who are, doing okay, and those are the ones who are trying to get to kind of come back to the community, yada, 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 whether they be entertainers, blah, 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 and they divest, right? They end up leaving the community, right? And now we have a message of divestment as well, because it's a response to that naturally, right? And this is what's going on right now. But I think the bigger issue is that there isn't necessarily something that they're divesting towards rebuilding, right? As far as a structural Black community, that's not a message that I hear being talked about or preached about enough. It seems like everybody just kind of wants to leave each other in the dust, right? And so it begs the question, what's the goal? What is everybody trying to do by claiming to be Black people first, or Black B1, or whatever it might be, but also managing to keep up the separation on both sides in this case, right? And not to mention that if we end up going back to certain elements, we also face problems happening. What's the solution, right? What am I trying to say here? It's really tough, because I can't say what I really want to say. So I'm kind of fumbling around and jumbling around with it, but I got to be careful trying to keep this monetizable and keeping my channel monetized. There's this like underlying acknowledgement that we all have, right? That we as a people and we as a community or whatnot need to build, right? Both sides understand this, right? Both sides understand this. But it's fascinating, because even though there are Black couples, and I'm sure there are Black couples getting married, yada, 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 the message of separation seems to be the one that's more prevalent right now, right? But somehow the message of separation has become kind of the main idea, or it's become kind of like the main notion, or the main brand or image of building a successful relationship, right? What I mean by this is teaching narcissistic ways, teaching ways to get over on the opposite sex through leveling up, or through, holding masculine frame, through pickup game, through, pushing and pulling through emotional relationships, yada, yada, yada. We're framing relationships at this point. We're framing our communities at this point around understanding what part of the game that we play in a relationship, around understanding, well, yeah, if you do this, then I'll do this, and this for you. And while that's good and that's great, I understand we have to have normal roles in society. I think it's interesting, and it becomes kind of it becomes kind of dangerous in a sense, right? It becomes kind of dangerous in a sense when we start to only look at other people based off of the roles that they play, right? What do I mean by that? This is a tough one. And forgive me if y'all are like commenting, because I'm definitely not going to be reading the comments right now since I'm struggling through this. If everybody divests, then there's essentially no more Black community, right? So let's just say that if everybody leaves, there's no more Black community, right? Now we understand the divestment between leaving a race and then leaving a certain type of person are two different things, right? But there's an underlying there's an underlying subtlety that's going on inside of our community right now, right? There's something underlying going on, and people are starting to kind of wake up and realize this, right? You're starting to get a lot of conversations of people, and I've been listening into a lot of conversations of people that are saying the same thing, right? People are starting to get fed up, and this happens when you start to have a lot of impactful tragedies that affect you. You start to say this, and we'll say this, yada yada yada, and hopefully things end up changing. But people are starting to get fed up, and there's a realization, I think, that's starting to take over people, that it's not necessarily in your best interest at times to even try and fight to, improve a certain part or portion of the community. And I think that's a very, 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 very interesting spot to be in. I think that's a very dangerous spot to be in, when we as an entire mass of people understand that to some extent it's futile to try to make a change, right? When we as an entire mass of people understand that to some extent things probably aren't going to change, to some extent there will always be a hood. And so now the solution has become for both sides to just separate and disband and find your, the person that you can kind of assimilate and get with their tribe to. What does this say for a culture 50, 100, 200 years in the future, right? What does this trend say, right? Now, let's take this thing and let's look at 50 years ago. 50 years ago, we were a really tight-knit community. We were a tighter knit community. 60 years ago, we were a more tight knit community. 70 years ago, we were a more tight knit community. We've been kind of separating very, 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 very tragically and very, very, very quickly ever since. And with the rise of these entire, YouTube spheres and things of that nature, that's putting the divide between us even further. Now, we've gone from where we were, from being very, in the streets, Black Power, Black Panthers in the 70s, to where we are now in 2021, to where it's, listen, we were trying to move the hell out of the hood whenever we get the chance, right? We have now become our own worst enemies. And this is apparent in every single portion of YouTube that we talk about. This is why we're kind of making this video here. I think we need to kind of start to understand that a lot of people don't want the Black community to get better and grow, which is very interesting, because I don't understand the name. I don't understand this whole entire movement, the B1, Black woman, this and that. And I understand that, right? I completely get that. And we talked about divesting as far as the Black women are concerned. Make sure you're going to a better situation, a better race of guy, yada, yada, yada. But also it's going to kind of carry over to Black males as well. This entire thing. The biggest and the most popular message is separation. And when you try and, say, hey, listen, let's try and have some more normal conversations, I've gotten a lot of emails of people that aren't really liking the message, people that aren't really understanding the message, people that aren't really wanting me to say some of the things that I'm getting ready to say, because they feel like I need to keep continuing talking about solely Black males. They feel like I need to keep continuing to talk solely about how Black males are wrong in society and wrong in the public image and things of that nature. And I think that there's some merit to that. I understand that might be what you're here for, but at the end of the day, my mission and my goal isn't solely to just go off on Black males. And now more than any time and more than ever, that's really clear. Now I understand that we're going to need to start approaching it from both sides if we want those solutions and those conversations to happen, if you want there to be a Black community, if you care about a Black community. Some would argue, some people say, well, there's no Black community right now. This is why so many people don't want to live in the hood or live in the ghettos or live in the environments that are predominantly Black people. I'm sure there's some great Black communities and things of that nature, right? But we as a people, we as Black people know, and our goal is, and our desire is to move out of a lot of the areas and the neighborhoods that we grew up in. And that means moving into other racial, areas. That means moving over into, the Heights instead of Martin Luther King Boulevard, right? That's just a fact of the matter. That's just a fact of the matter. So I think that we need to be really honest with ourselves, right? We need to be really honest with ourselves and start to apply, terms to what they are, right? To what they are. It's difficult when you're trying to preach a message to people who are part of a particular group, or when you're trying to say something to people who are a part of a particular group who aren't able to, really understand that since they're a part of that group, essentially what they want will never be able to be had, right? It's kind of like these manosphere guys. It's kind of like these guys who have such bad troubles or bad problems with women, right? They want to grow. They want, these women really badly, but they're not willing to kind of put in the work for themselves. They're not willing to do what it takes for themselves to make themselves better people to end up getting the woman, right? It's like you'd rather complain and listen to Kevin destroy, or listen to Fresh and Fit destroy women all day. And that's all fine and dandy. That's cool. But at the end of the day, you still want women, right? That's really what you still want. Whether or not you want a certain race of person or a black person or white person, that's fine. That's all cool. That's fine and dandy. But right now we have people masquerading as they're really about black people. They're really about this and that. When in reality, they're not, right? The message is of separation right now. And this is the message that has grown emphatically amongst black men, and it's starting to grow amongst black women as well. And that's fine. If we want to separate, that's cool. I understand that there are black people out there that obviously love each other. There's black love. That's all fine and dandy. That's all cool. But if we're going to fast forward into the future, I think we have a pretty serious problem on hand. We have a pretty serious turn in where our culture is, where we are, compared to where our grandparents are, right? Where our grandparents were. And this is simply trotting right along. We've gotten so far to the point to where we were, once again, holding hands in solidarity amongst each other, really as brothers and sisters, to where now we don't even let brothers and sisters have successful areas in the downtrodden environments that need it most, right? That need it most. To where now the main message is, hey, listen, if you get some money, leave those black people alone, right? Leave those black people alone. And I think we're in a very dangerous area now. We're in a very dangerous area, in a very shaky area. And because the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people who are in those environments. There's a lot of people who are in these hoods. There's a lot of people who are in these spaces that do need attention, that do need, some form of help, right? But the messages that a lot of us are preaching aren't really about help right now. The message is about leaving. And if you want to leave the situation, that's fine. That's fine. That's all fine and dandy. But the problem is still going to be there. The problem will always be there. There's an issue that we have. And that issue is that a lot of us, just for whatever reason, don't seek to change. We don't like change. We don't like to be the change within our own selves. We want other people to do the change for us, right? We're tired of seeing the environments look like this in our communities. We're tired of seeing yada, 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 but we expect, something else. We expect to go to another race to have the solutions and things of that nature, right? And that's kind of dangerous. If you're watching the stream and you're calling me right now, just know that I'll call you back. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm sorry, my bad. Right. So the main message is now just leave, right? leave. So we can just, whatever it might be. Cool. We can leave. This isn't going to fix itself. Cool. Leave, definitely. Head out. This isn't going to fix itself, right? This is always going to be here. There are people that are always going to be here in these environments and in these areas, right? That means the problem's always going to persist, right? There are going to be kids that stay in these environments, right? Next generation is here. They are there right now, right? So this message to leave is I understand the solution. I understand the need for it. I definitely understand it. But leaving, it's only part of the solution. If we all end up leaving, right? If we all end up speaking about divestment, if we all end up speaking about leaving black women or black men alone, what about the kids that are black children, black boys, black girls right now, right? I understand that you might not like and get the message right now that's going on this channel, but I have to look into the future and really start to change some things. I have to just do things differently, because the fact of the matter is, if we all divest, then we're cursing ourselves to a certain extent in the future, right? But at the same time, it's very difficult, because if you go back and build alone, then you risk something adverse happening to yourself or your business, because you're in an environment that does not have much support towards your safety or whatever it might be, right? So what am I saying here? There's not enough of us that really understand what exactly it takes for what we want, right? There's not enough of us that really want there to be a better community, right? There's just not enough, right? There's just not enough. We are, as a people, for whatever reason, more wired to be divisive amongst each other than we are to be solution minded and oriented amongst each other. This is why our community is the way it is. Right? Yes, it is the leader's fault. Definitely. Black males, black men who have been in leadership. Yes, we've seen a decline as far as what a good leader is, what it means to be a good leader. But at the same time, that's still going on today. It's just going on the internet now. Now it just has the ability to bad leadership has the ability to reach even more people now, right? So I want to be very honest, and I just don't want to. I just wanted to kind of speak about this, right? I wanted to speak about this because I wanted to address this topic, this topic that we all know, this overstanding topic amongst each other, right? And I wanted to bring this topic up because, once again, we've been talking a lot about rappers this week. We've been talking a lot about violence this week. We've been talking a lot about what goes on in the black community. We've been covering all of this week. So I wanted to cover this and talk about this. You know, there's very few of us that truly want a black community to go on. And if we want the black community to die, then that's fine. I understand that. That's fine. 1000%. I get it. Right? 1000% understand. But if that's the case, then we need to stop masquerading, or people need to stop masquerading as being black first. People need to stop masquerading as being black power. Whatever the black branch of revolutionary support you see yourself on, Hotep or whatever it might be. You can't be any type of black support if your only mission in life is to speak about how bad in getting out of a black area or how bad a black person is, right? I understand that. I understand, yeah, we need to bring truth to the situations. We need to start having conversations about how messed up some of the things are. Definitely. But I think that to call yourself black power or black empowerment or whatever it might be is a far cry compared to what it really was, you know, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's no comparison, right? I'm saying this because the direction of the videos are going to change, and I want to address this, and I want you to understand, you know, why the directions of the videos are going to change. Right? I've gotten a lot of emails, a lot of comments, and I see your comments. I'm not responding to a lot of them right now, but I see your comments and I see your emails. Right? And one of the emails in particular said, "Hey, I don't really understand why you're doing this. You know, it was only one person that really had something to say, yada yada yada." But what made me, you know, realize that it wasn't just is that there was, you know, overwhelming, obviously, negativity that happened from the situation that happened recently. I don't mean to keep hashing and covering it, but it brings to light and it brings to observation what I'm saying tonight is that, you know what, there's a good amount of us that just, you know, don't want to go back and help, you know, don't want to go back and try and change anything. There's a good amount of us that just, you don't want to see the community burn, you know, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair to the young ones that are still in the community. I don't think that's fair to the people who are trying to, you know, do better, who are trying to get out of, you know, that more crime-ridden environment of the community, or maybe just go to a right around the corner, or, you know, whatever it might be. I don't think it's there to just completely, you know, curse them, if you will, as well, right? If we don't help anybody up, if there's no compassion to helping anybody up, then it just continues. All right. So that's why I'm making the style of videos I am now, and we'll still talk about both sides. We will, but people need help up. Let me say something. There is a guy, you know, I'm talking to this cat, and he's watching right now. Shout out to you, Jay. And he wants to get, you know, on the YouTube game. He's trucking right now, yada yada yada. And he calls me, right? He calls me all the time. Hey man, what's up? Hey man, hey. I say, what's up, man? He'll just ask me some questions, right? You know, he's a hood dude, right? Hood dude. Just ask me some questions. And he's trying to get out, you know, he's trying to make moves. He's trying to build. He's trying to get to that next level, right? So he's asking me. Why is he asking me? Well, I'm a person that he has connection to. I'm a person that he has, at this point, personal currency to. We talk about this all the time, right? I have certain knowledge, information. I have certain techniques that I know to at least help him on YouTube, potentially do well for himself on his channel, right? Since I know something, I'd be honored to give it to somebody that's actually trying to do better for themselves, right? That's what building the Black community is. That's what B1 really is. It's helping people who want help. We're talking about the savables and the unsavables in this video. Once again, they're joking, right? They're joking about, well, you know, I'm not, you know, or, hey, are they niggas? Are they NE? You know, are they ERS? You know, nig, right? We joke about that. The problem is that these groups on the internet are just on one side or the other, right? It's that you're either on this side or this side. And these types of solutions aren't able to be had unless you're on this side or this side, right? What good is it if, in my mind, I look at this dude and he's trying to ask me for help on YouTube? If I just call him a Pookie or a Ray Ray or a Dusty, or if I look at his tattoos on his face, and obviously I understand we have to take people for what they are and understand people for what they are. He doesn't have tattoos on his face, but I'm just saying, even if he did, what good is that if he was genuinely sincere about trying to become a better person or change, or to try to become a better father, or to make more money for his children, or to try and build a side hustle for that? How does that become B1 or Black first by me not helping him or by me disparaging him consistently online, right? That's the antithesis. That's the opposite of being Black power or Black community or Black Lives Matter or whatever it might be. That's the exact opposite. Now, if that's what you want, then by all means, go for it 1000%. I understand where the channel started. I understand that we talked about Black males as far as Black male leadership being complete and utter failures. We've talked about that. We've gotten that down packed. But I'm not going to start to turn into a channel that ends up repeating and doing the same exact ludicrousy and ludicies, or whatever the word is at this point, right? That I talk about on other channels, right? This is going to be more solution minded, and it's going to be more open minded, more goal oriented, right? Discussions and conversations. I don't want to turn this into just a madhouse. And I think it was starting to turn into somewhat of a madhouse, just kind of, and I say madhouse meaning that I started going really aggro on just specifically Black men and Black males. And that's good. And I understand that everything I said is truth. And guess what? They understand it too. But what's the number one thing that a lot of the Black men said when they came onto the panel? Hey, truth, I understand what you're saying. And man, you're right. But, right? And I say, yeah, but what? Right? But why don't you also, and naturally, and so I've heard that, and I understand that now, and so that's part of the reason why. But more than that, I know that there is acknowledgement and understanding. So going forward, I get to be in a very interesting position because I get to somewhat be in a spot where not many people get to be, and I want to start having these conversations because there are brothers out there that are trying to get out of the hood. There are brothers out there that are trying to do better. And I've spoken with them. You've spoken with them. You might not have spoken with them. You might have seen them on panels. You might have seen an outcry, whatever it might have been. But, you know, that's not necessarily your place, or that's not, you know, your goal at the time to try and share enlightenment for whatever reason or another. But if I call myself somebody that's trying to be a person that supports Black people, both men and women, and that is telling the honest truth, then I have to be able to be honest on both sides. I have to be the honest truth, and I have to stick to it. That's the name I gave myself. And so I'm going to do that, right? And so honestly and truthfully speaking, I've been out in the streets, pounding the pavement. I've told you about that, and you'll see that coming later on, probably earlier next year, as far as those go, right? Those interviews and those videos. And truthfully, I do see that there is a need for help. If everybody leaves, then there's no help that can be given. And then things get worse. Now we start to have situations where we are now. And so people ask the questions all the time, well, where things go wrong, how things get so bad, how things get so wrong. And I think that a lot of it obviously is culture. A lot of it is, you know, whatever it might be, rap and yada, 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 failed leadership, Black men and things of that nature. But at the rate that we're going now, it's going a lot quicker as far as the, you know, the bad things than we can kind of keep and get a hold of. And so I want to keep being honest about it, but I don't want to be a part of that problem and add to it as well, as much as I want to just kind of shine the light on more of the way, the direction that I plan on going here, right? So that's the reason I'm doing this. That's the reason I'm talking about this, and that's the reason I'm changing the angle. If you like it, stick around. If not, then don't worry about it. I appreciate your support, but once again, it would have done me nothing to just sit there and call him a Dusty all day. He would have done nothing to sit there and, say I'm going to help him and give him, no help. That would do nothing. Right. Moreover, when I was that Dusty, when I was that person, I had people that helped me. Right. And so without me getting help, without me being entrusted, without me, being in a position to where I had to realize that I had to have help. Without me being in a position where I realized that not having a community is a horrible thing, then I wouldn't be, in this position talking the way that I am now. But the fact of the matter is that, once again, if we start to just keep demolishing ourselves online, then it's going to get a lot harder to start to make the fix and be the fix that we want to be. And if we don't want to be fixed, then that's fine. Don't be the fix. If you want to go and rage 24/7, then rage 24/7. We can rage every once in a while here. That's cool. That's fine and dandy. But we're going to have to rage a little bit on both sides. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just the nature of the beast. As this continues to grow, I don't want this to be a one-sided rage. I want this to actually be a solution. I want this to actually be a solution. So, take that for what you will. I know that's about as clear as mud. And we're pretty much well delved off the path, but I wanted to talk about that. And we also have a few interviews that are coming up in the near future that'll kind of clarify a lot of what I'm saying in this stream as well, because the interviews I'll be doing are going to be asking a lot about my history and my background, and it's going to be kind of pertinent and relevant as far as my responses that you'll hear in the next day or two whenever this interview goes down, with what I'm talking about here on this panel, right? And with everything that's happened, right? So, I continually change, guys. I continually learn. I continually try and make sure that I'm the best person that I can be. I say this on the stream, but I really do try and do this in real life, because I feel like that's what I need to do. I feel like that's what I have to do. And this is why you always see me on stream trying to upgrade things. This is why you always see me going ham and panicking when something's not working, or when the graphics aren't all the way right, or when things just don't look right. And you'd be like, Truth, what's going on? Like, dude, it looks fine. You're aggro, you're this, you're that. I think that you're just obsessed, yada, yada, yada. And I'm always obsessed with trying to make myself better, and make myself the best person I can be. And because I have a lot of work to do, I have a lot of growth to do. And that's my goal right now, And so I've looked back and I reflected on the past few months of my life, and few months of the incidents that have happened and things of that nature. And I see where I can grow. I see where I can, potentially give myself the best opportunity to learn from everything that's happened, good and bad, and to make myself a more wise and a more judicious, more forgiving, more understanding, more empathetic, just more all around, well-rounded, balanced person, right? Because that's what I ultimately want to be, is a balanced person. And I think that I was just a bit too far off balance, if I'm being completely honest with you. And that's cool. You got to understand that. You definitely got to understand that. And there was a reason for that. Once again, there's a reason for a lot of the live streams and why I said what I said. I'm a person that kind of is a person of passion. And so when I'm into something, I'm all the way into it, right? I don't just go half-heartedly. It's either black or white with me. There's no in between. But now as I get older, now as I realize that things in life is just not all the way cut and dry as we make it out to be and make it out to seem, I start to realize that there has to be more nuance. There has to be situation and nuance. We as a people, if what we want is really what we want, have to start being more understanding and more situationally nuanced. This is obviously everybody in America. You tell somebody that you're on the left or the right side, or you're Democratic or Republican, then they lose their minds. And as a result, since we don't have this level of empathy amongst a majority of ourselves, I understand a lot of us are, come from literally hell, right? The hood, Blackistan, whatever you call it, then it leads to what we're doing right now, right? Which is what is the popular message. And I understand it. Leave certain groups of people, leave certain races of people. I understand that. I completely get that. But there are people that are going to get lost in between the mix as well. And that's who we have to focus on, who we have to worry about in this situation, right? We talk about these children. We talk about these kids, right? We talk about the little boys and the little girls that are getting whatevered and groped and molested and this and that. We talk about this, and we know that it's a horrible thing that happens. But we also speak a message of just completely abandoning the environment, right? I have to be I have to approach the situation from a different perspective, because if we're just taking everybody at word with what everybody wants, then the words aren't adding up. The numbers are not adding up. The math isn't mathing. I just don't see it as what we're really wanting. If we truly want to start building up the Black communities, then we need to have more of a push for businesses inside the communities, and women are trying to do this. Black women are obviously trying to do this, and it's understandable, and we see this happening, right? But there's this huge push going on, and there's this huge contradiction going on amongst ourselves, where you have these guys that'll watch Kevin and do this, and that, and they'll be like, oh, you as a Black woman need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. But in the same breath, it's also kind of this underlying notion that, well, as soon as I get money, I'm going to be out of here type thing, right? And I think the divestors, the women who preach about, leaving and dating other races of men, understand this. And obviously Kanye West joked about this when he gets on here, girl, he'll leave you, ask for a white girl, right? We understand that, we joke about that, and the guys end up saying, and they brag about, being able to earn more money, and then, well, we get more money, that's why we go to Becky and this and that, right? So it's very tough, because ultimately, I think most people in this entire sphere of space don't fit under trying to progress the Black idea and the Black movement. It just doesn't happen, right? That just doesn't happen. Once again, I understand that if you are one that tries to be progressive and do something to build back, then you also have to face a lot of the negative people who are trying to get out of the same environment that you're trying to build up right now, right? I don't know. It's a very tough part of the fence. I just realized for myself that I don't know if I want to keep being a part of something that could, in some ways or another, add to more negativity than does positivity. Yeah, we'll be honest. Yeah, we'll keep talking about how you need to become a better person, how you need to become a better Black man, a better Black leader, this, and that, becoming a better man for yourself and for relationships, becoming a better part of the community. That'll always be the message on this channel, 1000%, right? That'll always be the message on this channel, for sure. Right. I just want, and why I'm playing this video in the first place is because I want to show that this isn't the message with all of the people who say that they want the same thing. Right? That's not the message. A lot of people are abandoning right now. A lot of people are abandoning. If the good people leave, who's left over in the Black communities? If all the good people divest from the neighborhoods, who's left over? I'm not saying you got to go back and open up a store and give your whole life to the community and to the hood. But I think at this point, what I'm starting to see more than anything is that when we have conversations, whether it be, supposed to be a cordial conversation or whatever, if people are on certain factions or side, then there is no understanding and there is no coming together. We've seen this on the past live streams, yada, 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 right? We've seen this go back and forth. When guys that come on, they'll say something crazy and we'll all say something and be like, oh, well, you know what? Hey, what about, this? And then, okay, well, yada, yada, yada. They'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, what about this? And then we end up just kind of going back and forth. No solutions are given, right? We can keep going on, and I'm sure we'll have live streams like that in the future, for sure. Definitely will have live streams like that in the future. The problem is that we don't find and identify those people who are actually trying to become a part of the solution as quickly as we do by having a balanced message, by saying things like, hey, I understand that there are bad women out there as well, right? That'll resonate differently inside of some guys where they will want to watch a bit more. And actually, looking at my analytics, they are changing a bit more. More guys are starting to watch, right? And once again, the point of this entire channel, the point of these videos, the purpose of these messages isn't necessarily to just, right? It's I get that this is entertainment. I get that, a lot of the videos I made have been passionate. I've been screaming and cursing and saying, hilarious things and yada, yada, yada. It's 1000% accurate and true. Yes, we know that for sure. And I understand it's entertainment, but the bigger point, the bigger purpose was to get a message across, right? Which is that there's a serious issue on this side and why they're saying this thing, right? And so the bigger purpose going forward for me now is getting a more serious message across, which is that there's a very serious underlying problem with both sides, where there's more commonalities and similarities than there are differences, if I'm being completely honest with you, right? And so if you enjoyed the content before, more likely you'll enjoy the newer content. You might be a bit triggered sometimes. I understand that, but you'll enjoy the newer content. I promise you will. Just come in with an open mind and give it a chance, right? Give it a chance. If you trust that I'm somewhat intelligent, or if you trust that my content is somewhat judgmentally sound, give it a chance. Let it play its course. I promise you there's a reason for it. I promise you. I've thought about this for a long time for the past couple of weeks. So play it out, right? That's where we're at now. That's where I'm at now. That's where I'm at right now. right? Where do you lie? What is your goal? What is your objective, right? Who are the people that you surround yourself with, and who's the message that you surround yourself with as well? Do you want to completely leave the Black community? Are you trying to have a relationship with the Black person, a Black man or woman? I think it's time that we got to start really being honest with ourselves, right? What is it exactly that you want, right? Because I understand, and I talked about those messages, and I support all of those messages. What I want, though, is to be somebody that can actually be a person of change. What I want is to be an influencer that can have somebody call me up and say, hey, man, I appreciate when you gave me that advice that one time. That changed my life. You helped me out. I'm doing much better now. That's the kind of impact that I eventually want to have. That's where I'm drifting towards. That's my goals. That's where I feel like my life will have the biggest impact. That's what I feel like part of my purpose is, to be actually to be able to actually have change and to change the outcome, to change the course of somebody's life because of something that you might have experienced or an advice that you might have given them. Not to just completely absolve myself of the situation, not to just completely leave the situation. I can't completely leave, right? That doesn't help. That doesn't solve all situations. There's people on both sides that need help. There's people on both sides that are caught up in the mix right now. It's not fair to either side, boy, girl, man, or woman, to just completely leave for those that are trying to get help, right? We got to start being a little bit more empathetic, man. You got to start being a little bit more empathetic, right? You got to start being more empathetic. Lack of empathy turns you into the same person that, you know, that we really have problems with. And I don't want to be that person. I want to be a person that everybody can come up to and lay their swords at the door and be like, all right, let's try and understand each other. All right. Let's try and just understand each other for a second here. All right. Because obviously something's going on. Let's just give it a shot here. All right. We don't understand you. You don't understand us. I want to be that type of person, because I don't know if there's really any of that type of person, right, on YouTube, where people can just come in and be completely on one side or the other, and by the end of it, there's at least some sort of, you know, cordiality. That's even the right tense of the word, right? There's some sort of acknowledgement where we can walk away as a whole and be like, wow, you know, hey, that wasn't. We both understand a bit more. Maybe we don't agree on everything. I'm not saying we got a kumbaya. I'm not saying this is going to be the message all the time, right? But that's the goal. That's the goal. Not just for our race either. The ultimate goal is for all races to be able to come together. We're talking about politics, white people, Black people, yada, yada, yada. We're just focusing on predominantly our race right now. And as we grow, we'll continue to expand. Right? So that's the long-term goal. That's the long-term vision. It's not necessarily just a change on a whim or whatever it might be. It's understanding what the brand, what the name of the channel is, what the brand of myself is, what the brand of my life is, right? Growth, truth, honesty, right? Understanding, patience, everything that the hood needs more of, right? Let me not let me not become the area, right? Let me not become the person. Which I'm trying to say, I'm helping, right? Let me be very careful and not become the person to gaslight, right? I'm helping. Yeah, definitely. It's truth, definitely. But I have to be careful now. Definitely. Can burn a lot of good people, right? So it's all about growth, y'all. You know, it's all about growth. That's the bigger thing. Are we going to allow people to grow? Do we want people to grow? Right? I think we all want people to grow. I think we should want people to grow. Do your compadres, the people that you hang out with, are the conversations about, you know, positivity, growth? Is it negative? Is it negative all the time? It's okay to be negative some of the time. Is it negative all the time? Do you seek to just come to this channel for negativity? I understand that. There'll be some negativity. Naturally, there will. It's the nature of the game. There will be. It'll still be here. I promise you. You want fire and brimstone? I promise you it'll be here. There's always fire and brimstone on this channel. It's the nature of it. right? Enjoy the fire and brimstone when it's here, for sure. But growth, that's I think what we definitely need to focus on right now going forward. Growth and a different element of truth, a different side to the story, right? Different side to the story. We have to understand both sides. His story, her story. And then there's something that's not said in between both. And I think that's where we're at now. We need to figure out what's not being said between both. Right? Definitely. Everything I said, I still stand behind. 1,000,000%. Yes. Black males as leaders, got to get it together. Of course. We know that for sure. We know that for sure. Definitely. Right? But this same person that raised Freddie Gibbs in the hood, right? I think she was a single mother. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. I don't know. Right? She raised Freddie Gibbs, rapper, extreme, gangbanger type guy. But she also raised a doctor. You know what I mean? She also raised a chemist or a scientist or whatever his sister was, right? Where do we stand, right? Where do we stand? Are we going to destroy a single mother because she raised Freddie Gibbs, a rapper who probably has a few bodies, whatever it might be? Are we going to destroy the single mother who raised Freddie Gibbs, or are we going to praise her for raising a doctor and a lawyer, or I'm sorry, a scientist, whatever it might be, and even a successful rapper? He's rich from rap, so I mean, still, she gets huge credit for raising a rapper, right? But on paper, on argument, for argument's sake, it would be a statistic. Freddie Gibbs is a felon, right? So on paper, it's a single mother that raised a felon. This is why I need y'all to understand, right? I need you guys to understand. There has to be, and we have to start going forward with situational nuance, because the fact of the matter is there is nuance to these things, man. There is nuance to these things. And I just want you to have an open enough mind to where when we start to have these videos and conversations, you can see the nuance. Because once you see it, it's like, oh, wow, I understand a bit more. More people start understanding. Maybe you start having more compassion. Maybe you start having more, more solidarity as a whole. Wishful thinking, of course. Wishful thinking to the furthest extent of that phrase, that adage. But I think it does have personal benefits to your own personal lives as well, right? Making sure that you're a well-rounded person that has a benefit to your workplace, your work history, your friendships, your family life, your peace, your inner fortitude, your inner sanctum, your whatever it might be. It has benefits to your life as well, making sure that you're a balanced person, right? Not always rushing to judge or to destroy or whatever it might be, but just trying to understand, right? That helps. It helps a lot. It helps a lot. So that's why I've just been seeing so many examples of instances where it's like, wow, that's a little, okay. Well, okay. Bro, okay. That's tough. I get it. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but I get it. Bro. Right? We'll see, man. We'll see. I find that as humans, sometimes we're, we're tribal, right? We're tribal. So we'll see. Remind says that they created this mess. Patty Gal says agree to disagree. Looks like Boss Main and somebody in the chat are dating. That's good. Am I going to open the panel tonight? Probably not. I'm going to end it here in a little bit, to be honest with you, because I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter, so there's more watchability, if you will. Right? I actually, the other day, I was going to watch a video, and I didn't want to watch it because it was like 4 hours and 53 minutes long, and that hasn't happened to me. I was like, dang, I really don't even want to watch this video. So I've been talking. I talked to a couple of people, and we'll have shorter live streams where it's just kind of more chill conversation, and then we'll have live streams where it's just more full, right? So what I did was on this one, on the thumbnail, I put news talk, right? Or like plus news update or something like that. I should have. Did I put that on the thumbnail? Maybe I didn't. Let me check to make sure. And so I was actually going to title this video news and then the title of the video. But it just didn't like look right in the title. So I was like, oh, I'll just keep it that way. But I'm going to have things where we'll just be covering news essentially on a live stream. And then we might talk about, you know, a little something as far as what we always talk about. But there'll be way shorter streams. They're supposed to be in the daytime. I was supposed to do this in the daytime, but today was just ridiculous, you know. So I ended up doing it at nighttime. But this would be typically a daytime stream. And let me make sure and check that I actually did design this the right way. Yeah, so it says news update on the thumbnail. So this would typically be a daytime stream, you know, a news stream, probably done like around 11 or noon. And it'll just be updating on all the news that happens around the country type stuff, as well as pop culture. And then, you know, the nighttime streams will be more of the what we usually do, right? So you will be able to tell the difference in the streams and kind of what you want to watch based off of the design. So just give it a little bit, and based off of the title and the look of it as well. You'll be able to tell when it's like, okay, this is a news type stream, like celebrity, I don't know, maybe we're talking about actors, pop culture type thing. And then we'll have the live streams where it's like we're digging into, you know, new levels of whatever, right? So yeah. Anyways, y'all. Kenny says there is no nuance. Black men have slaughtered 10 black men since that rapper died. Black women shares no blame. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yo, it's going down over there. They're killing people, dude. It's crazy. Hello, I says I'm going to get out of Blackistan just like that rapper. I understand. BB Precious Case says, Uncle John, I like the 5-hour lives. For sure. Okay. Tony Morrison says, who's dating? We got a couple of chat. I don't know. Oh, wait. It's Boss Man and somebody. I don't know. They might be. They might not be. I think I'm trying to stir some stuff up. THD, can you do please? Yo, I cannot read. Can you please do part 2 to the lady on the dating app? Yeah, I guess I should. Technically be part 3. I'll reinstall it. I had to oh man, yo, I feel so bad. So one of the guys from the dating app texted me, yo, 2 days ago. He texted me 2 days ago. He said hi, and then he texted like 20 roses emojis and then a sad face emoji, like the little looking down sad face emoji. It was bad, dude. I felt so bad. I was about to call him and be like, yo, bro, like, are you all right, man, type stuff. But like, he texted 2 days ago. I had to uninstall it from the phone, yo, because there were so many notifications. It was like draining my battery. I could turn the notifications on, but I don't know. I felt like it was slowing down my phone or something. So I uninstalled it. I hadn't even checked it. I have no idea how many likes there are. I can't even imagine how many likes there are right now. I'll install it though. Yeah, we can do a part 3, a little fun, you know, while you watch the screen, and we'll kind of, you know, check out the messages. I don't know if I want to, you know, lead anybody on or anything like that again. I felt bad, dude. I was like, damn, homies out here like struggling right now. It's been, how long has it been since we did that stream? Months? Maybe a month? 2 months? Maybe not that long. You know, still getting contacted. It's like, dang, dude. It's kind of sad. Y'all are just laughing. Y'all are messed up, yo. Y'all are mean, yo. Y'all are evil. Mascot said, yes, please. I forgot about the dating app thing. I know. Yeah, okay. Organic Black is sweet. Organic Black's nice. BB Cakes is nice. So yeah, we'll catch up on that. We'll catch up on that. Be on the lookout for that for sure. Tony Ward's not for you. Yeah, Jerome, watch the what's the name of the live stream? Let me see. I did a live stream where I made up a fake Tinder profile to prove that there's no wall, essentially, right? There's no age wall. And we got like 300 likes in like 2 hours, right? And the profile is everything that would be danger zone, wall, whatever it might be, you know, avoid this one, whatever it might be. And I mean, there was so many messages that, you know, we just couldn't even respond to them all. There's too many. We called some of these guys on the phone too. It was pretty entertaining. I'll say it's pretty fun. It's called Winter Is Not Coming, Part 1 and Part 2. It was streamed on September 9th and September 10th. Winter Is Not Coming, Part 1 and Part 2. It has a white background, so you should be able to see it pretty clearly. Winter is not coming. Part 1, part 2. So we'll have part 3 for sure. We'll check the messages, see what's going on, and yeah, maybe he is texting everyone. Maybe I just gave it too much, you know. Yeah, bro, check it out for sure. Did I receive any cash? I haven't even looked, to be honest with you. Let me check. I probably am not, because the bot link here has the wrong damn. No, I haven't. I gotta change the if you've been giving on Cash App, you might have to ask for a refund because the bot has the wrong Cash App link. I didn't think about that. Well, I mean, I did think about it, but I haven't gotten anything yet, at least. It says Truth Seek. I'll have to change it next time. But it's supposed to say Truth Seekers, right? So if you caught it, I don't know if you caught it, but the very beginning or the entirety of this text is supposed to match up with the very end of this comment in this text. So let me know. I hope that y'all haven't been. Forgive me. Thank you for even considering donating. I appreciate you. And my bad if you donated to the wrong account. I think you can ask for a refund. I don't know if you can make them give you a refund. Holidays are getting lonely. The holidays are coming. They're getting lonely. I'm trash. I cannot read. Or game bikes that have photographic memory. That's awesome. And Nana says, "Oh my gosh, I remember that. It was a mess." Yeah, it was pretty trippy. I got flued out. Yeah, I was about to get flued out. JJ says, "Thank you." Juice says, "Glad I caught that." Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna wrap it up tonight. Listen, we'll be back tomorrow. More content coming tomorrow. Members only video coming tomorrow. If I can edit this damn thing tonight. God, it's brutal, dude. I don't know how many members only videos we're gonna be able to do because, geez, editing is crazy. I'm gonna have to stick to live streaming, man. Editing's trash. So, anyways, I love y'all. I'm gonna see y'all here in a little bit. We're gonna roll the outro. Take care. See you tomorrow. Another live stream tomorrow. Another live stream the day after that. Bye. I love you.